What's up, you guys? I hope the week's been treating you well. If you haven't had the chance or are on the fence about Tears of the Kingdom, I gotta say, I've really been enjoying it. Today I want to talk about Hateno Village. If you played the prequel, Breath of the Wild, you'll likely remember this quaint farming town. Sitting at the base of Mount Lanayru, we're gonna go with Lanayru. Hateno boasts many comforts for the weary traveler. The Tanpu Inn provides shelter and rest, while the East Wind General Store carries various items for restocking our rations. If armor's what you need, Ventez Clothing has you covered. The Kochi Dye Shop can change the color of your swag for the low cost of 20 rupees and a handful of materials. A curious tidbit of lore, Link actually owns a house in Hateno Village. There's a quest in Breath of the Wild where you can purchase a house that is being demolished. Throughout the quest, it's heavily hinted that you actually own this house over a century ago. I plan on making a full video about it soon, so I won't delve too much into it right now. On the surface, it appears little has changed since our last visit. Everything is much how we left it, albeit a bit more weathered. There is one big difference, though: the mysterious appearance of colorful mushroom print and sculptures everywhere. What are these strange additions, and where did they come from? To find out, we need to head over to Ventez Clothing, where a group of curiously dressed villagers have formed. Speaking to them reveals they are waiting to see Cece, but there is only one entry ticket. Refusing to separate, the group departs, leaving the ticket for us to use. Once inside, we meet Cece, an extravagant fashionista with a passion for fungus. Mid-conversation with Cece, the mayor of Hateno interrupts us. Known as Reed, it would seem that he and Cece have been quarreling lately, and things have finally reached a boiling point between the two. Cece insists she is the reason Hateno has grown in popularity and status, while the mayor firmly believes in tradition and honoring the village forebears. It's fashion versus function in Hateno when Cece suggests a mayoral election to decide the future of the village. Confident in her ability to win, Cece delegates the workload of the election to her sister Sophie. In a huff of frustration, the mayor and his wife take their leave back home. Cece then asks for our help to sway some voters her way and gives us 8 Hylian shrooms to gift to villagers that are less likely to vote for her. She explains they will be easy to spot as they do not wear any of her designer hats. Sophie confesses that she's not overjoyed at the prospect of adding an election to her workload and asks for our help with the sensitive matter. It would seem that Cece has been disappearing at night, and while she doesn't think it's anything nefarious, she is concerned that whatever it is might damage her sister's chances in the election. We're then tasked with following Cece at night to see what she's been up to, and that we must not be seen while doing so. Following Cece leads us to a locked silo with a sign that reads "Condemned." Climbing the mountainside adjacent, we can glide to a window at the top and quietly spy on her. As it turns out, Cece's just super into vegetables. Embarrassed to take comfort and joy in such simple food while being renowned for flash and glamour, she hides her shame away from prying eyes at night. Checking back in with Sophie, we explain the situation to her. Surprised and thankful it wasn't anything scandalous, she expresses her gratitude for our help with a gift of iron shroom. At Mayor Reed's house, we can speak with his wife, Clavia. We're told that she disapproves of her husband's attitude towards Cece and concedes that both are behaving stubbornly. She then explains the mayor has been spending a lot of time in the shed at night, and when asked, will not divulge any information other than saying it's a secret. Clavia is concerned that his secret might negatively affect the election and asks us to visit the shed at midday to find out what he's been up to. Dropping into the West Well, we can use the Ascend ability to navigate into the shed where we find the mayor's journal. The contents explain the mayor is concerned he's losing favor with the younger generation of residents, and has been working with a skilled local farmer to develop a new type of pumpkin in the hopes it might sway the election in his favor. Returning to Clavia, we inform her of what we've learned. Relieved to hear that her husband's secret was purely innocent, we're thanked for our help and gifted Hylian tomatoes. Speaking to the mayor himself, he expresses embarrassment about his earlier behavior and reminisces about a childhood memory. Long ago, his grandfather had worked with someone in the village to create a new type of food. Even though the mayor was very young then, he still remembers the smell and texture of the single bite his grandfather had given him. Lamenting that he's unable to recall what they created or who his grandfather had worked with, we're told not to worry, and instead he suggests we visit the farm on the hill for some fresh milk. Heading up to the farm, we meet a man named Dance. He welcomes us with kind words and mentions that he currently cannot produce fresh milk due to a lack of acorns for his special cow feed. He mentions that there used to be plenty in the field behind the farm, but that the squirrels have taken over and left none for him to collect. To the left of Dance, we come across a young girl standing on a dock looking very distressed. Speaking to her, we learn her name is Koyen, and she is the daughter of Dance. It would seem that she is desperately trying to reach a bottle floating in the pond with a message from her great-grandfather inside. Convinced that the key to saving her family farm is in the letter, she ponders how to reclaim it. Once we have procured the acorns and floating bottle, we can speak to the family members again. Koyen is overjoyed to have the letter back in her possession, and after reading it, discovers that long ago her great-grandfather worked with a past mayor to create a new specialty, cheese. Excited at the prospect of this new creation, she hurries home to get started. Returning to Dance, we hand over the acorns we got, and he is beyond thankful. He gives us a bottle of fresh milk and thanks us for our help. Entering the farm home, we find Koyen hard at work on her great-grandfather's recipe. Having followed the instructions within, she shows us her creation, Hateno cheese. Acknowledging that this would not have been possible without our help, she insists we take some of the first batch as a reward. Is this the new type of food Mayor Reed was reminiscing about? With cheese in hand, we head off to speak with him. As soon as we speak to Reed, he notices a familiar smell and questions us about it. Offering him the cheese, he confirms that this is indeed what his grandfather had given him a taste of when he was a child. He then decides that this shall be the new village staple. Filled with excitement and confidence for the coming election, he thanks us with 100 rupees. Wow! Finally, we return to Cece to inform her we finished handing out mushrooms. She is delighted by this and thanks us with a big hearty truffle. With the preparations wrapped up, Sophie tells us that the election is today and directs us to the plaza for the event. The election has arrived and both candidates are in fine form. Mayor Reed speaks about tradition and community, as well as introducing the new revival of Hateno cheese, while Cece pontificates about fame and fortune, promising increased wealth under her management. Visibly irritated by this, the mayor argues that style is fleeting and a terrible foundation for a village to run on. Responding in kind, Cece disagrees and claims that trends shape the world, not the other way around. Exhausted by the endless bickering, Sophie shouts for them to stop, insisting that neither of them are thinking of the village, only themselves. She calls Cece out for her love of simplicity despite the way she presents herself, and tells the entire village about her secret silo salads. Say that 3 times. Clavia chimes in as well, telling the mayor that she knows what he's been up to in the shed, trying to use Cece's designs to get the younger generation to care about farming vegetables. Realizing the error of their ways, the candidates turn and offer apologies to the other. Solidifying as a united front, the unlikely duo set off to create a cohesive vision and vow to maintain tradition while still being open to new ideas. With the election over, Cece and her sister pull you aside and thank you again for your help. They mention there's an additional gift awaiting us at Ventes Clothing. Upon arrival, Cece reminds us of the hat we discussed at our first meeting and reveals it as our last gift. Now convinced that we are the perfect model for her creation, she hands it over and requests that we wear it proudly. This hat isn't terrible, it just looks like it. With a base armor of 3 and a bright pink wig, what could go wrong? Well, that about wraps it up, guys. I appreciate y'all hanging out and letting me tell you a story. If you enjoyed this, consider liking the video so I know to make more like this, and subscribing so you know when I upload new content. If you've got suggestions for future videos, let me know in the comments. I love all your faces. Bye!